How's it going, guys? I'm Mike Dwyer from the Bunker Recordings and BetterMixes.com, and today I'm going to show you my top 5 favorite plugins for mixing drums. Drums are my absolute favorite thing to mix, and everybody loves plugins, so I figured I'd show you some of my favorite ones that I specifically use for drums, so that maybe you could find something cool that will help improve your mixes. So getting right into it, let's take a look at number 1, and it's Oxford Drum Gate from Sonox. I already made a whole video about this plugin. I'll link that up in the corner here. So I won't go into too much detail about why I love this, but basically, this is the best noise gate for drums that I have ever used, and I've tried a lot of gates. Between the auto detection here, where it can tell the difference between a snare, a kick, toms, etc., and the frequency dependent decay, so you can have a faster release time on just your high end, for example, and let the low end ring out, and the built-in leveler to level out inconsistent playing if that's something you want to do. Like I said, I've tried a billion gate plugins on drums, and this is by far the best I've found. We'll take a real quick look at it here on my snare top. So here's without it. And with it. And obviously you could gate it a lot tighter than that. I'm only using a fast release time on everything above 1K, and then letting everything below that ring out quite a bit. But you could tighten it up something like this. If you really wanted to get rid of all the bleed. Like I said, in this case, I just wanted to get rid of the nasty high-end cymbal bleed. Moving on to number 2 on our list, we have the plus 10 dB compressor from Baz Digital. So this is an emulation of a Compex compressor, and it just sounds amazing on drums. I love a lot of different compressors and use quite a few on my drums, but this one is just really, really special on drums for me. We have this particular instance on our snare top track, and let me just show you what this is doing. I'll start with it out and then I'll pop it in. So that is just making our snare smash. It's really bringing the drum to life. This compressor is just super aggressive, super nasty, perfect for big, massive rock drums. But one of my favorite things about it is the saturation. I love driving the input and output really hard on this, and it just saturates in a really nice way, specifically for drums. Really smooths out the transient, brings the peak level down, and just adds a ton of weight. This actually also has a gate and a limiter in it, but I rarely use those. 99% of the time, I'm just using this for the compression. And this isn't just for snare. It also sounds amazing on kick and room mics. Really, you could use it anywhere on your drums. So for number 3 on our list, we have EvoIn from Flux. And again, I already made a video about this, which I'll link in the corner. But in short, what this is a phase rotation device. So instead of just your in phase and out of phase that you get on your average EQ or channel strip plugin or whatever, this lets you dial in your phase anywhere in between. So you're really able to lock in your phase and get your drums sounding really tight. I have a handful of instances across this drum mix, and as we listen back, I'm going to turn them all on and off together so you can see what they're doing. So with all of our instances of EvoIn on, the drums sound much fuller, much bigger, the kick and snare are punchier and cutting through more, and in general it just sounds a lot better. And it does all that without messing with the timing of the drum tracks. There are other tools out there that basically line up the transients of your different mics. So your snare top mic and your overheads are going to be hitting at the exact same time and everything. But to me that loses a little bit of the depth of the drums. I like having that little bit of delay between my close mics and my overheads and my rooms. But EvoIn lets me lock in my phase and get my drums sounding really big and punchy without losing the depth that comes from those timing delays. Moving on to number 4 on our list, we have Trigger from Slate. Sometimes using some form of a sample can really make the difference between an okay drum mix and a great one. Whether you're mixing tracks of badly tuned drums or a drummer who doesn't hit their drums very well and therefore doesn't make them speak very well, or if you're just going for a totally different sound than what was in your raw tracks, Trigger can help. You can totally transform your drums with samples, or you can just lightly enhance them. Or a trick I've been using a lot lately is using room samples to beef up your room mics. Ton of different ways to use them. And Trigger just makes it super, super easy. Real quick, I'll show you how much these room samples are beefing up my room sound in this track. I'll just pop these in and out as we're playing. But like I said, there's a million ways to use Trigger. And finally, number 5 on our list is FabFilter's Pro Q3. This is my absolute favorite EQ for most things, not just for drums, but it's especially useful on drums. And that's because, for me at least, with the genre I work in, a lot of the time, I find myself really needing to mangle the drums with EQ to get that big, huge modern rock sound. So besides just being really easy and intuitive and fast to use, it's also great for dialing in sounds because for each band, you've got different slopes and shapes. Like we have this steeper, sort of flatter curve on this boost, and then a more traditional shape here. And you can do things like resonant high-pass filters and resonant low-pass filters, as well as tilt EQ, or this cool flat tilt. And then, of course, you can do really nice, gentle, wide curves, or super, super precise surgical curves. And you can add just a boatload of bands. I don't know what the limit is. I've never hit it. But sometimes the 3 or 4 you get in a lot of other EQs just aren't enough. It also has dynamic EQing, so you can do a lot of really cool and creative things with that. And one of my favorite features on it is the auto gain. So as you're boosting something, it will turn the volume down, or as you're cutting, it'll turn it up to compensate, which can help you make better EQ decisions because you're not being tricked by level differences, or at least not as much. It's not perfect, but it works pretty well. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 plugins for mixing drums. What are your top 5? Let me know in the comments down below. Are there any cool ones that I didn't mention? I'd love to hear about them. I'm sure there's a ton out there that I've never tried. So let me know what you like. Also, be sure to head on over to bettermixes.com to grab a free copy of my Ultimate EQ cheat sheet.